Woman was God's second mistake. This is a line by Nietzsche that hits the soul like a punch. It doesn't just provoke, it breaks. A single sentence that drops like a stone in the calm waters of modern thought. Shocking, offensive to many. It appears to be a signature of deeply rooted misogyny. But long before Nietzsche's harsh ideas, his mentor, the man who taught him to peer into the abyss of life, had already laid the philosophical foundation for such darkness. That man was Arthur Schopenhauer. Welcome to your inner mirror. Today we begin a journey that is not only difficult, but perhaps deeply necessary. We descend into the psyche of a philosopher who was sharp, ruthless, and absolutely merciless. Our aim, to understand his most notorious belief. What did Schopenhauer really think about women? Let me be clear, it won't be easy to hear. Schopenhauer's words aren't warm, they're cold, bitter. He's often rightly called a misogynist, and maybe he was. But we don't deal with ideas at surface level here. Like true philosophy, we ask deeper questions. What did he truly say? And why did he say it? Because maybe, just maybe, behind that bitterness is a truth so uncomfortable, we label it hatred just so we never have to face it. We're not here to defend Schopenhauer. We're here for something harder, to understand him, to explore his mind, not with hateful outrage, but as someone who believed he had uncovered the core illness of life itself. And to do that, we must look within ourselves as well. Are his words, no matter how harsh, not echoes of feelings we've lived, but never dare to admit? To understand Schopenhauer's view of women, we must first understand the core of his philosophy. He didn't see the universe as divine, peaceful, or rational, but as something driven by a blind, purposeless force. A force with no logic, no mercy, no goal. A force that simply wants to live, to expand, to endlessly repeat itself. Through birth, suffering, and death, Schopenhauer called it the will to live. Everything we see, animals, humans, nature, is merely a mask of this will. We are not truly free. We don't make decisions by logic. We are not autonomous. We are puppets pulled by the strings of this will. Our dreams, our desires, our ambitions, they're not truly ours. They are tools of this will to keep life going. And this will has only one goal, to preserve the species at any cost. And according to Schopenhauer, this life we are trapped in, it is nothing but suffering. He said life is like a pendulum swinging between pain and boredom. When we desire something, we suffer because we don't have it. But once we get it, after a brief happiness, it turns into boredom and emptiness. Then we desire something else. The cycle begins again. We are beggars who eat today, but starve again tomorrow. Happiness is a mirage, a glimpse of an oasis in a desert that only holds pain. From this dark worldview, Schopenhauer turns toward humanity. And here, he makes a decisive distinction. Man and woman are not two versions of the same human being. They are two different tools used by the will to achieve its biological aim. In his infamous essay on women, Schopenhauer writes things that still sting today. He says women have less rationality, that they are driven by impulse, that they lack deep understanding of justice, and are more skilled at deception. These claims are painful, undeniably, but according to Schopenhauer, they were not born from hatred, but from philosophy, from his understanding of life and will. To him, woman is the purest and most powerful expression of the will. She is the guardian of the species. Her nature, her thinking, her very existence is shaped by nature for one single goal, reproduction. When he says women live in the present, he doesn't mean they're foolish. He means their role is to protect life here and now. Their strength lies not in logic or philosophy, but in instinct. Their minds are rooted in reality, in home security, child rearing, and fulfilling basic needs. They do not pursue ideals or truth, because their role is to sustain life. Schopenhauer saw this not as a moral system, but a biological design. In contrast, man is an exception, a being who can rebel against this biological program. While woman is fully devoted to the species, man has the ability to step out of it. He can abandon comfort, happiness, even his own life, for something that has nothing to do with survival. He can die in war, for something as abstract as honor. He can spend decades building a cathedral he'll never see completed. He can lose himself in a math problem, paint a picture no one asks for, compose a melody no one hears. And in these moments, in art, science, sacrifice, man betrays the will. He does not serve nature. He serves something higher. He loves truth. He denies instinct. Here lies the root of Schopenhauer's bitterness. He saw woman as a symbol of life's acceptance. And to him, life was not a gift, but a curse. But in man's creative madness, he saw glimpses of liberation. Woman is the root of the species. Man is the divine madness that dares defy nature. Schopenhauer said lust is a mirage. As soon as desire fulfills its goal, reproduction, the feeling disappears. And that's the moment love becomes a transaction. This is where his view of women becomes not only bitter, but disturbingly true for many men. According to him, women, perhaps instinctively, understand their control over men lies in their sexuality, and they use it. Charm, gentleness, flirtation, even staged innocence, are biological tools to attract and bind a capable protector and provider. A woman who marries for love is, in fact, securing lifetime support. But a man who marries for love? He's signing a blank check in the name of the species. Offensive? Undoubtedly. Overgeneralized? Probably. But pause. Ask the hard question. Haven't we seen this in life? In our friends' lives? Haven't we seen brilliant men, destined for greatness, abandon their path, their dreams, their energy, for a love that once felt irresistible? And then watched how, after marriage and children, the relationship turns from a romantic flame into a practical arrangement. Schopenhauer names this feeling the experience of falling into a sweet, fragrant trap, whose true nature reveals itself slowly. But to stop here would be a disservice. To truly understand this philosophy, we must look into the life of the man who created it. Because ideas don't come from nowhere. They are born from experience, from personality, and often from pain. Schopenhauer's ideas weren't just theory. They were the cry of a wounded soul. And that pain began with the first and most influential woman of his life, his mother, Johanna Schopenhauer. Johanna was no ordinary woman. She was gifted, a successful novelist, a member of Germany's elite literary society. After her husband's likely suicide, she moved to Weimar and hosted the most prestigious intellectual gatherings. She was independent, charming, and socially brilliant. But to Arthur, she was cold, distant, and emotionally unavailable. Their relationship was an ongoing emotional war. She found her son gloomy, arrogant, and dramatic. He saw her as vain, shallow, and self-centered. Their letters are filled with nothing but complaint and contempt. So when Schopenhauer writes that women cannot be objective, that they think only in personal terms, care only for appearance and vanity, it's not hard to see his mother's shadow guiding his pen. His misogyny wasn't just philosophical. It was a blood-soaked scream of a child who never received a mother's affection. That wound became a theory not just against his mother, but against half of humanity. It was the effort of a broken soul trying to prove that his pain was not personal, but universal. Understanding this doesn't justify his words, but it reveals the tragic man behind them. It shows us the fragile human behind the so-called philosophical monster, and it leads us to one of his deepest truths, a truth he hinted at again and again. Schopenhauer didn't just hate women. Deep down, he feared them. He feared them because he saw them as the most powerful form of the force he hated most, will. He saw woman as a mysterious power that controls man through desire. A man can build entire systems of logic, live with discipline, seek freedom through art and philosophy. But then a woman enters, a symbol of beauty, a promise of pleasure, a song of life. And suddenly, his entire rational structure begins to collapse. The philosopher becomes an animal again. To Schopenhauer, a woman's power is not in strength or logic. Her power is more ancient, more dangerous, the power of attraction. The power that can lead even the strongest man off his path, that can make him sacrifice his highest values for fleeting pleasure or romantic illusion. She becomes the smiling warden of his biological prison. And to the man who searched his entire life for the key to escape that prison, she appeared as the most terrifying obstacle. And this is where Schopenhauer, despite all his pain and bitterness, gives a warning that still feels strangely alive today. Because if we're honest, if we look closely, Schopenhauer's warning isn't just some 19th century theory. It's a drama that plays out every day, in every society, in every era. A man connected to a mission, driven by purpose, carries a unique masculine energy. His work, his art, his spiritual path, or his role in society. That's his North Star. But one of the most common tragedies is this. A man, under the spell of desire or infatuation, abandons his direction. He makes a woman the center of his world. His goals, his passions, his friends, everything fades. He sacrifices it all in the name of love. He ceases to be the captain of his ship. He becomes a passenger in hers. And then comes the cruel irony. When he loses his direction, when he lets go of his center, he also loses the very qualities that once made him attractive. His independence, his ambition, his sharp masculine energy, all fade. He becomes needy, dependent, orbiting her. And the very woman for whom he gave up everything slowly begins to lose respect for him. Because deep down, a woman cannot respect a man who has abandoned his center. The love that should have elevated him devours him. The relationship that should have been his strength becomes his weakness. And here Schopenhauer offers us his final warning, a warning that, stripped of rage, becomes a deeply practical truth. Don't be deceived by the scent of lust. Don't blindly trust your strongest emotions. Look beyond the beautiful face, the charming smile, the promise of pleasure. Pause. Ask yourself, is this feeling truly mine? Is this the choice of a free man? Or is the species speaking through me? Is this the blind will turning me into its puppet, without caring for my happiness, my purpose, or my soul? This is not a call for emotional cruelty. This is not a rejection of love. It's a call to enter love with awareness, to recognize that within us live two forces, one that seeks meaning, growth, and self-control, and the other, a beast built solely for reproduction. A wise man is not one who denies the beast, but one who knows it, respects it, but never hands it the steering wheel. A man who knows himself, who recognizes his mission, who stays rooted in his path, can love deeply, but not out of need, out of wholeness. He makes a woman his companion on the journey of life, not the destination. He invites her into his world, but doesn't dissolve into hers. His love is a conscious decision, not a biological surrender. He understands that his value doesn't come from a woman's approval or affection, but from his own self-honesty and loyalty to himself. Schopenhauer's philosophy is a bitter medicine, hard to swallow, but sometimes the bitterest medicines heal the deepest wounds. His words confront us with the possibility that even our purest feelings may be part of a biological illusion. They force us to question our deepest impulses, and they point us toward something greater, a higher freedom, where we are not slaves to our nature, but masters of it. Ultimately, we don't need to accept his darkest conclusion, that life is only suffering, and renouncing it is the only escape. But we can accept his warning, to build within ourselves a center so solid, the mission so powerful, and a self-respect so unshakable, that no temptation can uproot it. If you've made it this far, I salute you. You've shown courage and rare curiosity, but I hope it doesn't end here. Share your thoughts in the comments, as is the spirit of this community. Have you ever felt this conflict between purpose and the pull of love? Have you ever wondered if love itself might be the mask of a deeper biological plan? Your stories matter. They are precious. And if you've reached the end of this journey, write "will" in the comments. It'll be our silent signal, a mark of those unafraid to descend into the dark in search of the light. If this idea gave you value, support your inner mirror, subscribe, share, and spread this hard but necessary conversation. And remember, this is not about fearing women. It's about understanding nature, and above all, knowing and mastering yourself. Until next time, hold on to your center.